Everyone's got their own opinions on who the best performers were in the Japan versus Nigeria U20 World Cup match, but in this video, we're going beyond opinions. Instead of just going off vibes, we're rating every single player using actual football logic, the same way systems and apps like fotmob and sofascore do. Every player starts at a 6.0 and the score goes up or down based on their impact throughout the match. For example, someone who gets a clean successful dribble might add 0.3 to their score, while a defensive error leading to a goal can drop you by almost a full point. In my previous videos of this series, I used AI to generate the unbiased ratings by feeding the full play-by-play and match stats, but after a recent poll, you guys voted for me to use my own personal ratings instead. So that's what we're going to be doing here, while still showing the AI scores on the side for comparison. And so without the way, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into these match ratings, going from position to position and saving the top 5 players for last to see who really stood out in this match. Starting with the goalkeepers, we have Agbim ranked 20th out of 24 players who featured in this match. Overall, it wasn't a good showing from him. Like most goalkeepers facing Blue Lock, he barely had any positives to take away from this. His defenders ended up blocking more shots than he did, and he generally looked passive throughout the game. He did manage to actually get one decent save from Hiyori's shot attempt, but that's about all he did this game, and it's nowhere near enough to balance out conceding 4 total goals. I'm giving him a rating of 5.7, mainly because he just didn't have much of an impact and offered no presence in the back line. The AI rated him slightly higher at a 6.3, likely because none of the goals were directly his fault statistically, but even then, the generosity kind of feels undeserved from my perspective. Moving on to the other goalkeeper, we have Gagamaru, ranked 9th out of 24. Gagamaru only faced one shot on target this game, and when that shot came, he saved it. That's about as much as you could ask for from Gagamaru this game, since that's all there was for him to do, but because of his limited actions, I can't really give him that high of a match rating. That's why I've gone with 7.1, highlighting his one crucial save, but also limiting how high it is because of his lack of involvement in the game. As for the AI, it went with a 6.6, giving a decently lower score simply because, well, Gagamaru didn't have much to do this game. Moving on to the defenders, we have our lowest rated player in 24th place. We have Akupo. Akupo barely made an impact this game. No pressing, no meaningful duels, and the few times he appeared on screen, Rin and Bachira both dribbled past him easily. I'm giving him a rating of 5.5. Mainly because he was a complete ghost in this game and only showed up to get drilled past. The AI rated him slightly higher at a 5.8, likely because he didn't make any clear errors that led to the goals. Next up, we have Nigeria's fullbacks, Momodu and Kaita, who are jointly ranked at 22nd out of 24. Both of these guys were basically irrelevant throughout the match. Each of them got drilled past once, and apart from that, the only thing they did was add slight defensive pressure. Neither offered much resistance or support on their respective flanks. They struggled to keep up with Blue Lock's wide play and never really imposed themselves defensively. I'm giving them a rating of 5.6 as their minimal involvement and lack of impact made them basically non-factors during this game. Once again, the AI was slightly more forgiving, giving them a 6.0, likely because while they didn't do anything positive, they never really did anything drastically negative that led to Blue Lock's goals. Next up is Blue Lock's left wing back, Hiyori, who's ranked 15th out of 24 overall. Hiyori had a pretty mediocre performance here, with his only real contributions being a progressive pass to Rin and one shot on target. Honestly, it was a pretty underwhelming showing, especially considering the amount of hype he's gotten from certain parts of the Blue Lock community, or even comparing this to his standout performance against Oopers. But to be fair, this is exactly what we should be expecting from somebody who's ranked 16th on the NEL leaderboards. Solid, but nothing game changing. I'm giving Hiyori a 6.4 for this performance. The AI, once more, was more generous, giving a 6.7, placing slightly more value on his progressive pass to Rin, and of course, adding on to the fact that he made no defensive errors this game. Up next is Blue Lock's right wing back, Chigiri, ranked 14th out of 24. Chigiri had a decent impact overall. He managed to get a shot off and, more importantly, pulled off a clean dribble past Umar down the right flank of the field, which led to a key pass or cross to Isagi, which ended up creating an opportunity for the first goal of the game to be scored. While it wasn't the most dominant showing, and considering he's ranked 6th in the NEL, it could even be seen as a bit disappointing. Still, it was a pretty decent game from him, so I'm giving him a 6.5. As for the AI, it landed at about the same, giving him a 6.6, surprisingly a touch lower than Hiyori, despite Chigiri's direct involvement with a goal. Next, we have Nigeria's standout defender, Obuobona, ranked 13th out of 24 overall. Out of all the defenders this match, including Japan and Nigeria, he was definitely the most involved in the play defensively. He recorded multiple defensive actions, won several loose balls, and showed solid positioning at the back line. However, his performance ultimately becomes overshadowed because Nigeria did end up conceding 4 goals, something that always reflects poorly on any defender, even if it wasn't directly their fault. Because of that, I'm giving Obuobona a 6.6 rating, rewarding his individual effort, but still lowering his rating because of his overall team's defensive outcome. The AI rated him similarly at a 6.5, following the same logic, acknowledging his contributions, but weighing the scoreline heavily against him. Next up, we have Ryu, who's ranked 12th overall. Ryu wasn't heavily involved throughout the game, but he did have one notable moment, which was applying solid pressure to Onazi in a one-on-one situation that forced Nigeria to recycle the possession instead of breaking forward. That sequence, along with Bullock's overall defensive control and clean sheet, defines his contribution this match. I'm giving Ryu a 6.7 rating, mostly for doing his part and maintaining the clean sheet despite his limited involvement. As for the AI rating, they gave him a slightly higher rating at 6.8, giving a bit more weight to the clean sheet that he earned. Up next, we have another Bullock player, and surprisingly, this player was not even a starter, which is Kurna, ranked 11th. Kurna was subbed on late into the match, but despite that, he immediately made an impact. Almost right after coming on, he got a successful tackle on Onazi with the help of Raichi, and not long after that, he made a crucial clearance following Gagamaru's save, preventing Nigeria from capitalizing off the rebound. With those 2 big plays in such limited minutes, I think it's more than enough to justify a 7.0 for Kurna, a score that honestly could have been much higher if he'd been subbed on earlier and kept playing at this same level of impact. As for the AI, it went with the exact same rating at a 7.0, recognizing his quick defensive contributions in limited time. Next up is Aiku, ranked 10th out of 24. Like Ryu, most of Aiku's rating stems from Japan's clean sheet, but his total score is capped by the limited direct involvement. What puts him slightly above Ryu is his more consistent defensive pressure throughout the match, and his minor role in the team's build-up play. His positioning and organization helped maintain structure even when Nigeria tried to counter. I'm going to give Aiku a 7.1, rewarding his steady defensive presence and leadership even though he wasn't tested much. And for the AI rating, they rated him a bit higher at a 7.2, crediting his consistent involvement in defensive phases, including the pressure he applied to Onazi while he was awakening. Lastly, we have Bullock's best defender, and honestly the best defender in the whole match, Ikki Niko, ranked 6th out of 24 players. Aside from Obuobona, none of the other defenders really stood out, but Niko once again delivered. Like usual, he ended the game with multiple strong defensive actions, blocking Onazi's shot and pulling off that clean tackle on Kuso. And if I'm being honest, at this point, it might not even be crazy to say that Niko is the best tackler in all of Bullock, just from the sheer amount of duels he's won directly in the series. On top of that, his passing deserves some recognition too, especially that progressive pass to Reo that actually kicked off a counterattack for one of Bullock's goals. So overall, I'm giving Niko a 7.6 for another complete performance on both ends of the pitch. The AI, however, went a little stricter at a 7.1. Since Niko didn't directly impact Reo's goal, the AI went a little stricter at a 7.1. But either way, still lines up that he was one of the best players on the pitch. With the defenders wrapped up, it's time to move on to the midfield. And starting us off with the lowest rated midfielder, we have Nigeria's CDM, Ezekiel, who I have 20th overall. Honestly, Ezekiel might have been the worst performer on the pitch. He was practically a ghost for most of the game, only showing up to get complete bypass by Bachira or Rin's dribbling. To keep it simple, the only thing saving him from being the absolute lowest rated player is the fact that he's not a defender, meaning he loses less points for the goals Nigeria conceded. I'm giving Ezekiel a 5.7 for this performance. The AI, however, is more generous and giving him a 6.1 since he wasn't directly responsible for any of the goals conceded, but overall, it's still a forgettable game from him. Next up, we have Nigeria's other CDM, Sadiq, who I've ranked 18th out of 24. Unlike some of the other Nigerian players, Sadiq wasn't completely invisible for the full 90 minutes, though he still wasn't very influential either. His most notable moment actually ended up being somewhat impressive, at least for a background character. It's the scene where Nigeria starts gaining momentum and Sadiq receives the ball under pressure. He gets double pressed by Chigiri and Reo, two pretty solid defensive players, and somehow manages not to lose the ball, keeping Nigeria's move alive. Although, to be fair, Onazi basically took the ball off his shoulders, so I'm not even sure sure if this really counts. Still, considering he was only dribbled past once and didn't commit any major mistakes, his overall performance wasn't as terrible as some other players, so I'm giving him a 6.0. As for the AI, they gave him a slightly higher rating at 6.2, viewing his brief moment of offensive contribution a bit more than I did. Moving on, we've got a Blue Lock player ranked 17th, and it's Raichi. Raichi came on late into the game as a CDM with one clear purpose: to help Blue Lock protect their lead. And to be fair, he did exactly that. Almost immediately after being subbed in, he made an impact by helping shut down Onazi alongside Kuroiwa. And although that's pretty much his entire contribution during this game, that's about all you can expect really from this late substitution in this match. So I'm giving Raichi a 6.2, a solid score for someone who barely touched the field this game. The AI went a bit higher, giving him a 6.5, putting an emphasis on the immediate defensive impact he had with his limited minutes. Lastly, our final defender is another CDM from Blue Lock's side, Karasu, who I've ranked 8th overall. Karasu was a steady and consistent presence in Blue Lock's win over Nigeria, about what you'd expect from their best defensive midfielder. While Karasu was dribbled past twice this game, he still made several key defensive plays, including recovering loose balls after Onazi's shot and intercepting Kuso's pass that was intended for Onazi. Offensively, he also had some bright moments, completing 3 total passes, one of which was a long progressive ball that started a solid counterattack early in the match for Blue Lock. Overall, a pretty dependable performance from Karasu, earning him a 7.2. As for the AI, I rated him slightly lower, giving him a 6.9, since it didn't weigh his individual defensive moments as heavily and focused more on direct goal involvement here. Moving on to the forwards, we start with the lowest ranked one, which was Nigeria's left winger, Umar, who I have 19th out of 24 overall. Umar was definitely one of the worst players on the pitch this game. He had almost no impact whatsoever and was actually the player who got dribbled past the most this game, that being 3 times in total. Literally the only thing saving Umar's rating is the fact that he's a forward, so goals conceded and defensive duels don't hit his score as hard as they would if he was a midfielder or defender. But that doesn't change the fact that he was basically the most useless player on the field this game, doing a grand total of nothing, earning him a 5.8 from me. As for the AI, it went generally along the same lines as me, giving him only a 5.9 as his match score. Next up, we have Nigeria's right winger, Bello, who I've ranked 16th out of 24 overall. Bello had a decent game, putting together a few meaningful contributions, like successfully dribbling past Bachira and completing a progressive pass to Onazi early in the match. He even managed to get past Karasu during a short stretch when Nigeria started to gain some momentum. In the end though, his inability to produce any real final third output, with no shots on target or key chances created, kept his rating relatively low at a 6.4. The AI, on the other hand, was a bit harsher here, giving him a 6.1, punishing his lack of end product despite his flashes of quality in possession. The last player in this section is Onazi, who I have ranked 7th overall. For Onazi being the focal point of Nigeria's attack, his performance could definitely be seen as a bit disappointing, especially after awakening and still managing to not score. Most of his positives came from his shooting. He registered 3 total shots, with 2 of them being on target and 1 of them being blocked, which is a pretty decent stat on paper. The main thing holding him back though is his conversion rate. Getting off 3 shots and having 0 goals in total isn't ideal, especially in the Blue Lock manga, where most shots that go off on target usually end up in the back of the net. So I'm giving Onazi a 7.3, crediting his overall offensive threat and involvement throughout the match. As for the AI, it went a bit harsher, giving him a 6.9, weighing his low conversions rate more heavily despite being active in the final third. And now that we've gone through the goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards, it's time to go over the overall top 5 players from this match. Starting off in 5th place, we have a player that might surprise some people, and it's Kuso. Kuso started this game off hot, instantly dribbling past Blue Lock's twin aces Isagi and Rin, and following that up with a progressive pass to Bello. It didn't stop there either. Kuso continued to rack up successful dribbles, beating players like Bachira, Karasu, and Reo for a total of 5. But it wasn't just his dribbling that stood out. His passing was impressive too, Gagamaru. He finished the game with the second most amount of passes in this match with around 7 in total, including 3 progressive passes and 1 key pass that created a goal scoring opportunity for Onazi. Even though Nigeria's attack was technically built around Onazi, Kuso ended up being the creative engine of their team, the one player who linked most of their forwards' movements. I'm giving Kuso a 7.7, crediting his strong offensive contribution and creative influence. The main thing holding him back though is his lack of goals and assists. The AI, however, rated him much lower at a 6.7, mainly because several of Blue Lock's goals came directly from Kuso losing possession of the ball, like Karazu's interception and Niko's ball recovery, both of which led to scoring plays. Personally, I didn't think those should count as crucial errors leading to a goal, which is why my rating stayed much higher. Next up, in 4th place, we have Reo. Overall, Reo's involvement in this match wasn't that high, but the single sequence of his dual run with Bachira had a massive impact on the game. In that one play alone, he managed to score a clean goal to make it 2-0, complete 2 passes, and pull off a successful dribble, all in that single moment that skyrocketed his rating. I'm giving Reo an 8.0, mainly off the strength of that decisive play and the influence of his Panther snipe shot. The AI, however, was a bit stricter, giving him a 7.6, marking him down for not being consistently involved throughout the game outside of that one sequence. Moving on to 3rd place, I have Rin Itoshi. Rin played well overall, even though his first half was quieter than what we'd expect from Blue Lock's #1 player. During that stretch, he got 1 shot off on target and a few successful dribbles, but that was about it. The second half though was where Rin really turned up. He became heavily involved in Blue Lock's build-up play, linking quick passes with Isagi while still taking players on himself and adding even more successful dribbles. He even made a defensive contribution early in the second half, blocking Kuso's shot. Of course, his biggest moment came from his goal, a precise finish over Isagi to extend Blue Lock's lead. In total, Rin finished with 5 passes, 6 successful dribbles, and a block, earning him a match rating of 8.4 from me. The AI, however, rated him slightly lower, giving him an 8.2, being a bit harsher for his turnover against Obobona early in the match. Moving on to 2nd place, we have Isagi. Like Rin, Isagi also had a quiet first half, only touching the ball once, and while that one touch did technically result in assist, it wasn't really anything special since Bachira still had to do basically everything to make that a goal. In the second half though, Isagi became the center of the team's build-up, racking up multiple passes and even pulling off a rare successful dribble. Of course, the highlight of his match and the main reason for his high score was his goal over Kuso and Onazi to seal the 4-0 win for Blue Lock. In this match, I'm giving Isagi a 8.6 match rating. As for the EI, once again it was a bit harsher, taking off points for his quiet first half and lack of involvement early on. And finally, we have the clear man of the match, Bachira. Bachira was simply on another level this game, finishing with 1 goal and 3 assists. Practically every time he touched the ball, it turned into either a goal or a scoring opportunity. His goal came early on after he drilled past 4 defenders with the help of Isagi and Rin's off-ball movement. His assist came after from that dual run with Reo that completely tore apart Nigeria's defense. In the second half, he delivered the final pass for Rin's goal and later followed it up with one of the most creative assists we've seen so far, at least in my opinion. A perfectly placed Duran ball to Isagi to set up his finish to close out the match. Altogether, it made for an outstanding performance, earning Bachira a rating of 9.2 from me, easily making him the standout man of the match. As for the AI, once again it went a little bit lower, giving him an 8.7, being stricter on his incomplete pass and giving slightly less value for his 3 assists. And that wraps up every Blue Lock player's realistic rating from the U20 Japan versus Nigeria match. Let me know what you guys think of these ratings, especially if you agree or disagree AI scores or my scores down in the comments. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe if you want more realistic Blue Lock content just like this.